Technology connects you, but you've never felt more disconnected. Caught up in your head and in your past, weighed down by worry, frustration, fear, disappointment. You do what you can just to get by. But what if there was another way? Is It Time to Love is a video series dedicated to helping you reconnect with your heart and live free of old beliefs, pain, ego, and judgment. Journey with beloved journalist Scottie G. Hines and spiritual teacher and Akashic Records consultant Lisa Wetzel as they help you uncover a path back to your true self. A path back to love.
As souls, we came from unconditional love because we are unconditional love. Mm-hmm. There seems to be some disconnect there for many people. Mm-hmm. Why or how were we created from unconditional love?
When you begin to recognize that you are unconditional love, you'll begin to recognize how you were created from the truth and the purity of what exists within all. When we see you as a human being and we recognize that the soul's existence that resides within each and every one of you, we see our creation. And as we see our creation, we see the connectedness of who you are and who we are, and we reside as one another. The truth is, we are the purest essence of love. We are of the highest vibration in existence. And when we resonate our values and our system within each and every one of you, you raise to that level of understanding that we are, that we understand that you are nothing but the beauty. You are our creation. And so you were meant to live in that understanding that you are perfect as you are, which therefore relays the message of that unconditional understanding that you are all that is. You are the universal connectedness to everything, and all resides in that purest form of love.
The Akashic Records are the highest form of love? The highest, purest form of love?
Yeah. Yes. So they're laughing and saying, okay, so the hierarchy of this endeavor.
I'm sorry, did they just use the word hierarchy?
They did.
Okay.
And so we're going to see.
Did they just get on to us?
I know. So
okay.
We're going to see what this says. So, but what the level of understanding is that the creator is that first dimension.
Creator, first dimension.
So it's the creator, the Akashic field that travels from that. It's actually connected to the creator.
Okay.
So like when I see these layers, it's the creator.
The seed.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
So you have the creator, you have the Akashic field is below that, mm-hmm. and then you have the other realms of life. So like you have all of the other spirit guides and everything that's in existence below the Akashic field.
And is that what we label dimensions?
Yeah.
As dimensions?
Yeah. And then you have the earthly realm.
Okay.
Okay, so but the Akashic field bleeds into the creator. So that the resonance that is within that creator field resonates through our existence as well. Mm. So it is of that super high vibration.
Okay.
And so when you look at it that way and you recognize these layers, when the soul is created within the two dimensions between the creators and the Akashic field, mm-hmm. the soul actually resonates at that same vibration. And if you understand anything about vibration and frequency, in order for the communication to mesh, the Akashic field and the soul, they communicate through that vibration so that energy meshes. Mm-hmm. They're laughing and saying this is why it's so easy for humans to communicate with the Akashic field, because the source of information is coming from the soul. Mm. So when I communicate with the Akashic record field, mm-hmm. I'm resonating in balance from my soul's existence to that field. So therefore, when you begin to recognize...
So is that where the home of our souls reside? If that's where they're created?
Hang on just a second.
Okay.
And let me go back.
Okay.
So when you begin to recognize that the existence of all that is is within that frequency. Okay, so basically the soul's existence and all of that knowledge, all of the wisdom, all of the understanding of who controls what, the communication thing that we talked, the control tower, basically, they all reside together. They all reside within that same existence of that vibration. So the vibration is consistent throughout the universe in that form of existence. I hope I'm explaining that. Does that make any sense?
You are, but here on Earth, everything's so much more dense.
Right. It's yes.
So it's I don't know. That's what was shown as you were
Okay.
talking. I was like, that's not the energy I'm used to.
It's not. It's
here.
not. Okay. So the Earth.
Yeah.
Vibration, the frequency that our body is made up of, is absorbs that lower vibration, and it's a very thick, heavy, dense vibration.
Right.
But each and every one of us has that high vibration within it.
Yes.
You just have to access it.
Yes.
So that's the other part about shutting off all the layers, so that you can remove that dense, heavy energy, letting go of those belief systems, everything that's holding you in the current state of the environment is what they're saying.
Okay.
Shedding that and going inward and really recognizing what's within us. And as we recognize what's within us, then we start to mesh with it. The physical body starts to mesh with it. The mind starts to mesh with it. And then we become one with all of that. Instead of being, it's like, what I'm seeing is a peach. So like the soul is the seed. And then our human body is the meaty part of that peach. So when you begin to recognize that you can shed off that meaty part, the soul is that seed. And that seed is what resides within you. So it takes the energy that's in that seed and allowing it to travel through your body. Recognizing that energy can spread through that meaty part.
Yes.
The muscles and stuff that are in us.
Okay.
But right now, our human mind won't allow us to do it.
Right.
The human mind creates that separation. You are your physical body. You are your mind. And so we resonate at that frequency because that's what our bodies have created. So what you'll begin to recognize is that as you become more familiar with frequencies, resonance, and vibrations, that as those can flow fluently together, they need to be on that same level. If you have a really, really high frequency and a really low frequency, and you try to bring them together and mesh them so that they can flow together, then those numbers start changing so that they can resonate together. Okay, so you can't they're going to flow like this if you have two separate frequencies. So you have to bring them together to flow as one. And so what we want you to do is to bring your lower vibration or your lower frequency, raise it up to match with ours so that you can mesh together as one.
There it is. Okay, there it is. What has been created for us to live in unconditional love? Does that question make sense?
Okay, what has been created for humans?
For humans, I'm sorry. What has been created for humans to be able to live in unconditional love?
Love. Love has been created to live in love. But what we want you to understand is that when you talk about love, you talk about the superficial mental aspect of love. What we talk about love is the deep-seated, heartfelt understanding of what that love is. When a human can truly connect with the heart and the soul, you begin to recognize that as your vibration changes, your vision begins to change. Meaning, again, like we were talking about, when you see what's on the surface, you no longer, you start pulling those blinders off of what causes us to perceive things, how the mind causes us to perceive things. And so when you begin to recognize that you can get out of that mind state and get to that purest resonance of what the heart is and what the soul has created, you'll begin to recognize that as you begin to view those who surround you and what surrounds you with a different vision, you'll begin to recognize that the heart begins to shift. and you'll begin to recognize that there's a feeling of unbounded love that can see and can feel everything around you. You'll begin to recognize the gratitude for who you are and what you have become due to this love that resides within you. This is what we call unconditional love. Unconditional love is the understanding that all is as it is. There's no need to shift or change who you are as an individual when you begin to reside in the truest, purest place of this essence. So what we want you to understand is that when you truly begin to gain that truth of unconditional love and your vision begins to shift and change, you feel it emotionally within your physical being, within your body. You can feel that there's overwhelming feeling of openness in your chest space, in your heart space, and that something as simple as a beautiful rock or beautiful plant or an animal running across the road begins to fill you with joy. You'll begin to recognize that there's no judgment, there's no fear, there's no pain in anything that surrounds you. It is only the truest, purest essence of that love.
Yes. Yes. When did you start experiencing that sort of love?
Me?
Yeah. When was that for you? Is there a time in your life?
I think, well, actually, yes. And actually, it's been more recent. Probably over the last 12 to 15 months, have I truly begun to recognize that and feel, because it comes and goes, because it depends on where our mind is. And if I'm in business mode, and I'm all in my head and I'm focusing on something specific, I detach from that heart space. So what I've recognized is that when I can step away from that mind mode and I can just simply be quiet and be still, I can get a glance of something and I can feel something and my heart will shift and change and it opens widely. And it doesn't matter where I am. There's an overwhelming sense of gratitude. And that's what I know is that unconditional love, where the faces start to blur and it's a feeling from chest to chest. It's a heart connection with those around me that I can connect to, that it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where we are, it doesn't matter where we're standing, it doesn't matter about anything. It just matters with this energy connection that's between us. And it's the essence of who you are, below all of your belief systems, below all of your barriers, that I can see through and I can feel that resonance between your heart and mine.
Yes.
And that's unconditional love.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you've been. It's in that moment at that time.
Yeah.
But where it's hard for us, it's been hard for me, is to shut off the business mode, to shut off the mind to where I can, long enough to where I can become used to and accustomed to that feeling and being able to stay in that feeling and be able to function in my everyday life.
Yes.
So this is where it's going to be the hardest for us humans to survive, to live in our everyday lives and recognize that we can still function, we can still think, we can still do math, we can still drive a car, we can still socialize, we can have normal conversations. But being able to stay in that heart space during all of what's going on around us in our everyday lives, that's what we're transitioning into.
Yes.
But we have to start out with glimpses. So you just get a glimpse of that feeling, or you just get a glimpse of that knowing. And when you begin to recognize it, you're like, oh gosh, that's where I want to stay.
Yeah.
And so that's that light, the light bulb moment that you recognize, I can do this.
Yes.
This is who I am. And then you begin to own it.
And then, yes, that's where I am.
Yeah.
I'm in that weird fit where I'm beginning to own it in ways that I haven't before.
Right.
But it's easy for me to recognize now.
Yeah.
which it wasn't
Yeah.
before.
I mean, it gets more and more. It's easier and easier to recognize. And then it also becomes easier for you to understand what takes you back to that old habit.
Yes.
And so
that's been one of the greatest gifts.
Yeah, so that you can start breaking those cycles, and then you can recognize how to stay where you have more of an intention of staying in that space.
Sometimes I get stuck where it's like I have the recognition, and there's a part of me that it feels too exhausting to try and do something different.
Right.
You know, when in fact I know exactly what that is. I know I'm able to identify what I'm feeling, and I'm able to identify what would be most useful for me in that moment, which would help me make a different decision, which would help me make me feel better. So yeah.
Yeah, welcome to unconditional love. It's beautiful.
It is. So some might call this a pipe dream. You know, just like you're living in this fantasy world, lady.
Yeah.
But can all humans exist, coexist, connect within this space of unconditional love? Can that be our default? Can that be like our normal?
Yes, it can happen.
Okay.
It's hard to believe that a human can exist in the purest essence or purest form that they're meant to be. But if you begin to recognize that this is an easy transition, if you choose to do so, then you'll begin to recognize that it is possible.
Why do we get so scared? Why are we so scared of love, unconditional love?
Because it's of the unknown.
Yeah.
And the truth is, there are many parents that love their children unconditionally. However, you love them unconditionally, but you set the boundaries around them. There's not too many individuals.
And when you're saying boundaries, expectations,
yes,
projections, rules. Okay.
You know, to where you put them in their box.
Yeah.
Because you were put in a box. You know, and so you're just following this pattern of following the rules.
Yeah.
You know, all that stuff.
Yes.
But what you all need to understand is that the form of unconditional love is fearful because it removes the boundaries that can create heartbreak.
Ooh, okay, wait, say it again.
It can remove the boundaries that can create heartbreak.
That's why we're fearful.
Absolutely.
Because it can remove the yes,
Okay?
yes, okay.
So, but what we silly humans
That's so good.
don't understand is that when you love unconditionally, you begin to see things unconditionally. And you also don't have the expectations that you have as in this presence, to where the reason why I get my heart broken is because I have certain expectations of this person, you know, that could be a love relationship. If they don't follow in my expectations or they don't love me back, then I'm wounded because I'm rejected, or, you know, all of these, they're not following my rules. So they're disappointing. And so there's so many rules and regulations that go with relationships and what we perceive as love in that sense. But when you begin to recognize that you can remove those barriers and love truly from the heart space, and you begin to recognize that it's the heart to heart or soul to soul love, not the mind to mind love, then you'll begin to recognize that all that fear will dissolve.
So that's the love, I'll just speak for myself, that's the love I've been putting out there.
Absolutely, that's what we all put out there.
Mind to mind.
Yes.
Can it be mind to heart?
No.
Okay.
No, because
Mind to mind.
because the heart doesn't connect. My heart doesn't connect to your mind, but my soul connects to your soul.
That's right.
And so when you can see the
But my heart connects to my mind.
Yeah, but you're a whole.
Okay.
It's not coming to me.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Now, again, you did talk about telepathy.
Okay.
And we will get to that point.
That's another chapter, another book, another
we will get
video.
to that point to where you won't even have to use words. But when you can get to that soul to soul relationship with everything around you, or with that person specifically, you see them on a different level.
Yeah.
So all of those barriers, all those expectations that you demand of somebody's behavior or they demand of yours fall away because you're not seeing with the same eyes. But the whole concept of that image is fearful to us humans because we were taught to believe this is what love is.
Man.
This is how you're supposed to act. this is what sets the boundaries or the structure for a relationship.
Yeah.
So that the whole thought and the concept, number one, we can't even imagine loving soul to soul because very few of us do.
Right.
So that's an issue in itself. But thinking about letting go of all those barriers, all those demands, all those expectations is a process just within itself of it's fearful letting go
Yeah.
of your beliefs.
Okay, so this is what just popped into my head. So it's like, because I'm so fearful of rejection, because if that rejection happens, then that confirms that which I believe about
It's your
myself.
belief system.
And so I'm creating all these other ways to bring me out of that, which to keep me safe and single. But I'm noticing even those good things, those are also keeping me from actually experiencing life and letting go.
Yeah.
So we do that, right?
Well, that's human nature.
Yeah.
So when you begin to think about allowing all of those barriers to fall and you can truly stand in your one essence, what love would come to you? What would you bring to you? It would be endless.
Yeah.
Endless.
I haven't really thought about it.
Nirvana.
Yeah, nirvana.
Because it's nothing but.
Yeah.
And everything is perfect just as it is.
Yeah. And our love life, like relationships, finances, fun, like just like it's all tied up into the same belief
Even
system.
your environment.
Yeah.
You know, yes. So imagine if you could actually just stand again in solitude, because this is your one self, and be fully present in that heart space and truly connected to the knowledge and the wisdom of the soul and the love that exists within that. And you are absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And you can see the perfection in the person that you're talking to or that's across from you.
Sounds simple.
Yeah. Well, and just be.
Yeah.
Just be. And it's the hardest concept for us silly humans is to get out of our head. Stop thinking, stop analyzing, stop trying to project into the future and what you want and what you don't want, by just simply being.
Okay.
Just be. And if you can gain the understanding of the presence of the now, this moment, then you will begin to gain the understanding of how important it is to live into this very second and not projecting what you want to see into the future. When you can allow yourself to be in this very moment, in this second, this nanosecond, and the
And this
breath,
one, and this one,
yes,
and this one,
exactly,
and this one,
and understand that the breath that you are taking is of the essence of God, you will begin to recognize that your breath is God's breath. And how miraculous is that?
So there's nothing to do, figure out,
It's so simple.
be.
And what's the craziest thing about all of this is that, you know, we want to read, we want to learn, we want to pack our minds full of information. And this concept is exactly the opposite. It's cleaning your mind out. It's cleaning everything out and standing empty. And when you can become empty of everything that you've created, everything that's in your mind, and just be fully present and be fully connected with this space, you're there.
You can just, period, you are.
You are.
You are.
Which is funny because I am. You know, that which, you know, is said, I am. If you can get to that point where you can let all of this go, then you know I am.
Okay, so the shift there for me, the clarification, I know the healing is happening, but even healing feels heavy to me. It feels like efforting. And so I feel like there's something that's wanting to come through that wants to flip that on its head.
Okay, you said it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have this belief system, and I'm seeing a wound.
Yeah.
You get cut open, you have to wait for that wound to heal. It has to scab over, it takes time, the cells have to grow back, it has to heal. But you're not healing. What you're doing basically is walking away from. You're shedding it. You're letting it go. And so what I've seen in my life is that I continually see my physical body falling away and my etheric body walking out of it and standing whole in that etheric body.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like taking off the skin. It's not the point of I've been wounded because of my past, because of events that have happened to me or words that have been said. It's like you haven't been technically wounded. It's just layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of beliefs. And so what you're doing is you're taking off the jacket of all of those belief systems and letting it fall to the ground and walking forward in your truest, purest essence.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. So it does take work. And I think that, there's so many different modalities out there that can help us to shed these beliefs. It's not the point of healing, it's the point of shedding.
Yeah.
It's walking away from, it's getting out of. Because who you really are is that etheric being. It's this presence of this universal consciousness that's within us.
Mm-hmm.
They're laughing and saying, you can't wound us. We are never wounded, because they stay, that essence stays in its purest existence.
The human,
it's never changed.
But so the soul can't be wounded?
No. Because it is the knowing of all that is. It is what it is.
But,
it doesn't change or deviate from what it is.
Okay, but what, so my experience has, especially these last few months or so, there have been soul parts or soul lifetimes that have come up that where when I check in with my body, they feel really true. And so they all involve me being in a prison cell. And also the lives that they've lived and the experiences they've had and the belief systems that they've existed in have been my same belief systems I've existed in this lifetime. So there are things, while I know those experiences or the belief system that I have now is directly related to the experiences in this lifetime, but it also feels like those same beliefs are tied to other lifetimes, and that there are certain things that I feel within my soul that very much feel like a wound.
Very good question.
Okay.
So what we want you to understand is that what the soul brings forth to you is the truth of what it is. Recognize again, it's not wounded.
Okay.
It's the experiences. So what you're reliving or what you're feeling is the truth and the knowledge that is obtained within the soul to bring to the surface of what you need to know in this current lifetime.
So it's just a pivot. It's just a little pivot of my thinking.
But it's not wounded. The soul is in your body living the experiences because the soul needs that knowledge.
Okay.
It's not wounded. What's wounded, what causes what I'm seeing, what causes the jacket to have to be taken off is what's created around us now, our belief systems. Okay? The judgment, the hatred, the anger, all of that stuff is what we're talking about removing. But the soul doesn't get wounded. The soul is living the experience that it has to have in order to move forward.
Okay, soul's not wounded,
No,
but those feelings and those emotions and the experiences, they are within their Akashic, with the soul, soul's Akashic Records.
It's your history.
Okay.
Okay, it's your history.
So I'm not crazy.
No,
By
they're
what-
laughing and saying, "Are you sure?" They're saying, "No, absolutely not." But what you're recognizing is that so the reason why these things are coming to the surface right now in this particular lifetime, at this particular moment, is because your mind needs to recognize the growth that is transpiring around you and within you so that you can move on to a new layer of consciousness.
Completion.
Okay? Yeah.
Okay.
So it's bringing forward all that needs to happen. They're giving me an example of at one point in one of my lifetimes, I was a warrior. Okay, so as I was a warrior, I was wounded gravely, is what they're saying, and that I was speared. I got killed by a spear, and it went through my heart. Okay, so as it went through the heart, it became a memory of the etheric body. And so what you recognize, meaning me, what you recognize is that you have pains in your chest due to that etheric memory. And so what we're doing at this time, because I've been working on healing these etheric wounds, What you're working on at this time is healing the physical etheric body, so that the etheric body.
So those can
Okay.
be wounded.
Yes. Okay. So
Different from the soul.
Yes. Yeah. So what you want to recognize is that by healing the etheric body, the physical body will be mended as well.
Okay. Makes
Okay.
sense.
So a lot of times, when we have ailments,
Yeah.
it's because of past trauma in past lives, being killed. I have trouble with my voice because I've had my throat cut before. All of these different things that are on that etheric physical body, not this body, but what lies within us. So that needs to be healed. But the soul itself, what you're asking about, the soul itself is living the journey that it needs to learn. It's not ever wounded.
Okay.
But when it comes for your human body, because we have to remember that the human body is here for the soul's growth. We're on this planet at this time, and we obtain the soul because I'm the vessel for the soul's growth. And so what's coming back to you and what you're remembering are things that the soul needs to clear or bring to your attention so that you can clear a memory or a thought pattern that's creating havoc within the system of growth.
Okay. That's it.
Okay?
Yep.
So in a different lifetime, that might have been a pattern that you had to go through at that lifetime. But as it comes to the surface in this lifetime, now it's time to let it go.
Lesson learned.
Yeah, lesson learned, so you can let it go
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Did that answer your
Yeah,
question?
yeah.
Yeah, I like that explanation.
Yeah. So why don't we wrap up with what's the answer? Like, what's the solution? How will that fear end?
The one and only answer.
Love.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And they're laughing and saying, and we're going to leave it there.
Yeah.
Love. Love
Yeah.
unconditionally.
Yes.
And all will change.